Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 283 of the Mighty Whites podcast. If things look different, it's a different stream platform. As you can see in the top right corner, it says Restream. I can't get rid of that unless I pay for it, and we'll see what happens later in terms of stuff like that. I'm Jack, as always, joined by KC.
Now then.
How's things, mate?
Yeah, not bad. But after the international break, just glad to have actual football back.
Yeah, we obviously the original plan was to have a couple more podcasts than this, but it's just been one of them work, personal lives really getting in the way and realizing, oh, we've got time to do this, but it needs to be 20 minutes long and start 4 minutes ago. So we just ended up giving one a miss. And to be honest, you can blame us if it goes wrong at the weekend because we've given a couple of miss and we haven't lost.
I was going to say I was almost on the verge of being blamed for throwing away a comfortable victory for not wearing shorts on Tuesday, but
well, look, did you go to the game against Sheffield United?
Yes.
Did you wear shorts?
Yes, Your Honour.
Did Leeds United win?
Yes, they did.
So should you not have worn shorts to the next game?
I probably should have done, yeah.
Look, I am aware that, I am not superstitious about anything else in my life, but when it comes to Leeds United, it comes around. Since the last one, we have had the draw at Norwich, the draw at Sunderland, which I'm kind of glad we didn't have a podcast straight after because we'd have just been yelling probably too much at Lamelier. But then the last week has been really good. A 2-0 win over Sheffield United and then a 2-1 win over Watford. We'll start with the Sheffield United game. We won't go through it in detail, but do you think that was our best performance of the season?
I'd have to say comfortably best performance of the season. I thought it was very much what I wanted to see from us, a game that we dominated, created chances, probably could have had a couple more. But yeah, and also off the back of the Sunderland game, quite nice having a game for Melier where he didn't really have to do a whole lot.
Yeah, that was the thing that impressed me the most because for all we dominated the game, until we got that first goal, I couldn't really say that we were massively creative. It wasn't like games earlier in the season where we've shed loads of chances and stuff. This one was more, we were just in control and we were the better side. And that's when we finally get the set-piece goal and get in front. But the thing that I loved about it was that Sheffield United, who are a good side, who I kept forgetting hadn't lost yet this season. Because from watching that game, I found it hard to believe that they hadn't lost yet this season with how comfortable we were. And we limited them to basically nothing.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that team was unbeaten and hadn't conceded in about 4 games.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know. It's a very poor performance from them.
That's the weird thing with it, though. I mean, don't get wrong, they weren't great. But I don't think that they were that bad. I think we were really good.
Well, yeah, I'd say it could well be that I'm just being a bit harsh on us. But yeah, I thought we, like you say, comfortably the best we've looked this season. That's the most complete performance there's been. Like you say, we create chances. Defensively, we look very solid. It's another goal from a set piece that Pascal Struijk has scored that's not a header.
Yeah.
It's such a lovely, instinctive finish. It was actually a wonderful substitution from Daniel Farke.
Yeah, because it was immediately after the subs, wasn't it? And who knew? Who did it bring on? James and someone else?
James and Joseph?
Yeah. I know. I mean, they never went near the ball. But still, if you make 2 subs and your team immediately scores, yeah, we'll give you the credits on it. Yeah. And yeah, Mateo Joseph getting one late on really sort of put the seal on it, and I was glad to see him get one. And I actually thought that he might come in and start against Watford, and he didn't. And it's sort of weird to lead with the negative, but the truth is, everyone felt kind of negative leaving the ground. Leeds beat Watford 2-1 on Tuesday night. 2-0 up after 7 minutes. Although it was more like Leeds 0, Watford -2. Because I mean, Mellier's error was absolutely catastrophic against Sunderland, but at least it was only one goal. Daniel Bachmann had a Rahubka of a 7 minutes, didn't he?
The kiss of death that you gave him on the walk down. The words, "He is a decent keeper."
Yep, Daniel Bachmann's a decent keeper. That was very much a quote of mine.
I've no idea what happened. I really don't. Like, you just watch something and you just... So how has that happened? I mean, obviously, I thought the same for Melies as well, but it's like you said, the Rahubka thing is quite apt because it is just similar to the Blackpool at home game where you just go, he's done it again. Like, how? What is he thinking? And then I think there was I think in the first half he had a lovely moment to compound that where he just sliced a free kick straight out of play as well.
Yeah, he wasn't having. It was nice to. I haven't heard in a while 1-0. It's your keeper's fault. Followed by, of course, 2-0. It's your keeper's fault. Yeah, the best version obviously being away at Wakefield in a friendly where the goalkeeper messed up, it hit him in the face, and Leeds scored, and it was 3-0, and your nose is fucked. The 7 minutes that Leeds play a ball in down the left. Firpo gets onto it. A sort of underreported bit because of the way the goal happened. Firpo gets, I think it's his 11th assist of 2024, which puts him first at this level and up there with just about anyone. But Ramazani, it's a good strike, but a literal, I think I'd have saved that. Admittedly, I wouldn't have tried to catch it. But a literal, I think I'd have saved that moment, which doesn't happen very often. Goes to catch it, spills it behind. I don't actually know how far over the line it was, but from the stand, everyone just started celebrating and didn't even really wait for the ref. It looked plenty over the line.
To be honest, I didn't properly see it going because I think I had a moment where he hit it and I just went, "Oh,
yeah,
oh, it's gone in." What? Yeah. I mean, it's very much. I would like to see us getting more shots at goal. That's not the outcome I'm expecting most times from that sort of area. But as Alan Smith has said on many a FIFA game at this point, if you don't buy a ticket, you can't win the raffle.
Yeah, it was a really poor bit of goalkeeping, but it was nice to get going. Leeds nearly scored again a minute and a half later. Willie Nonto drove into the box and put one just wide at far post, which was a really good effort. And then it was Nonto again down the right, puts in a cross, which takes a bit of it's a deflection, and it is a bit spinny, and it bounces in front of Bachmann. It's a little bit awkward, but what Bachmann does is very softly palm it straight to Brendan Aronson, who scores on his birthday.
Oh, lovely. Didn't realise it was his birthday.
It was someone else. Well, it was Paul Reaney's as well. But but I believe it was also Joe Roden's.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good day. And then it was a good, tidy finish for Aronson. Glad to see him get one. There wasn't much to it. Just put it back for where the keeper was coming from, kept it down. And then from about 10 minutes on, I don't think Leeds were any good at all, really.
We went into power saving mode, I believe.
Yeah.
Between going 2-0 up and Lagi getting his injury off what appeared at the time as like a heavy landing on his hip or something, but because he'd obviously gone through, he nutmegged their player, and then it was actually a good challenge. It was just a heavy challenge.
I haven't seen it back on TV. There's people who've watched it on TV who seem to think that there was a bit more malice in it than we thought in the ground, but he definitely got all at ball.
I'm not surprised there's a bit of malice in there. He'd made half the Watford team look like divvies for the previous 10 seconds. So I wasn't entirely shocked when someone put him in the stand. Yeah. But yeah, I think he had that moment of staying down a bit longer than we would have liked. sort of battled on, and then there was a couple of minutes in when he looked and he just gave the signal, going, "Nope, he's done." And
Well,
thus started the trend of many a player having a lay down.
yeah, well, I mean, it's one of them where I can see how that happened when you do your ankle, which is what it turns out it is. You do get up and try and run it off, and sometimes it will feel you will run around for a minute before you go, "Oh no, actually." And so yeah, Ramazani, it's a ankle ligament injury, no surgery required, but he's out 4 to 6 weeks from a
46 is a long time.
Yeah, so that'll be a while, which is a shame. And yeah, we may as well do it in order now. I don't think this was the reason for Leeds' lacklustre performance because correlation does not equal causation. But Manon Solomon came on and looked off the pace.
Yeah, I think I wasn't surprised he went for Solomon purely because I didn't think he was going to shuffle the pack around as much. Yeah. I think you and your dad both said you'd have probably gone for Dan James.
Yeah, the good thing about this game was KC came to the game and was sat next to me and my dad. So I know this was a real-time conversation. Both me and my dad said I'd bring James on and move Nonto over.
Yeah, again, it doesn't seem that early in the game. Doesn't seem like Farke's style to move a few players, move more than one player around. But yeah, so I entirely saw why he did it. But yeah, he just didn't look at full tilt, did he?
No, but it wasn't. He's a good footballer. The worry was the injuries. He's been injured. We'll see how he is. We'll come on to whether he'll start the next game later on. Watford. It was so weird because Watford really did come into the game. I wouldn't go as far as Tom Cleverley, who said that they dominated the game for an hour, which was a bit of an exaggeration. But it was it was an odd game to see because Leeds were not playing well. From in the stand, it just looked like Leeds dropped into, as you said, power saving mode. And then when they needed to pick back up, they couldn't. But despite that performance not being great, Watford had a pretty good shot from distance in the first half. The goal at the start of the second half, which, Pascal Strout's been immense this season, he got absolutely rinsed. And then when the cross comes in, it's Roden maybe should do a bit better with clearance. Back to Quadrabar, who'd done well. Easy finish. And then, there was, after that goal, there was pressure, but I don't believe they had another shot on target. And that goal was after 50 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, even through the first half, there were points where they were having quite long periods of possession, but it never really ended up in and around the penalty area. So, I mean, quite often they would knock it about a bit, and then it would be switched over to their wing backs, who I think we struggled to get to grips with the system. Because
basically Bogle and Firpo, but especially Bogle. It's not his fault. It was the way that he was going inside to mark around because we didn't want to have. It looked as if we didn't want both Rodon and Stroud man marking their forwards because they weren't playing with proper number 9, so they were dropping off the front a lot. And if Stroud and Rodon are both chasing forward into midfield, you're just going to have a huge hole. That was where Tanaka was excellent. He kept tracking the runners that did go into that space. But it meant Bogle tucked in on. I'm trying to remember which way round they were, so it'll probably been Chak Vatadze. And as he tucked in, Nonto was not, and probably they weren't instructing Nonto to chase all the way back and man mark 25 yards from his own goal all the time. So it just meant the wing back had 15 yards of space, and Leeds were reactive to it. Whenever the ball went, then they all got across. Yeah, and I think we were willing to take that risk in order to have the option of counter if we did win it.
Yeah, I mean, I found it odd that essentially when they were playing out from the back, that it was Nonto who was closing down their left centre back. You probably can leave that to Piru and Aronson. And I'm not saying Nonto has...
you just said closing down and leave that to Piru.
Well, leave it to Aronson. He'll do the running. But Yeah, so then it was those moments that essentially we essentially had a front three when we were closing down, and then their wing backs in just acres of space, and the amount of times you'd look up to with Jade Bogle just going, anyone, someone,
Bogle gave a few people a lot of very visible bollockings, didn't he?
yeah.
But again, I can't really knock it tactically in terms of the defensive, because although from the stat, this, and I believe the All Stats Aren't We guys said this in the podcast that I admittedly only half listened to because I was working, but they always watch the entire 90 minutes back, and they said on the second watch we looked fine. It's just those Leeds United nerves made it feel a lot worse than it was, and I think they're probably right about that. But in the ground, it was very nervy.
Yeah.
And if they don't really create any chances, I can't really knock the defensive setup.
Yeah, it's one of it. I think it's ultimately one of those where again you've won a championship game at home, 2-1, solid victory, 3 points in the bag in a game that you should have won. Happy days, move on. I think it is very much being 2-0 up 7 minutes in. There is part of you thinks, let's maybe smash them for the first half at least, and then
I must admit, I was thinking that in real time. Like I was already thinking about, if we could get like Crew and DeBio on after 60 minutes here, because it's 4-0.
It's Sam Byram.
Yeah,
Sam Byram's got to come on.
The other thing was that even though we didn't play particularly well, like Peru missed an absolute sitter about 4 seconds after Nonto missed an actual sitter, but he never even got the shot away. Mateo Joseph missed an absolute sitter as well. Like Bogle, it was a miss-it cross, but hit the post.
Bogle nearly scored an excellent.
And that's the same thing as the Nonto. That's the same move as the Nonto and Peru ones. But yeah, we should probably have had another one. But Watford also did chuck the ball in the net a couple of times, basically. So it wasn't much of a game, but it's a good win. We should probably mention now that Leeds have made a signing, and it has finally happened. The tweet to Phil Hay prophecy has been come to pass. We have signed some cunt on a free. And he seems like the opposite of that, because Joshua Gilavogi seems like a lovely bloke.
Yeah. It's quite nice. I mean, it can very much be touted as Leeds have signed a French international.
Well, I mean, we have. That's objectively true.
We have. It might have been in 2015.
Yeah.
But
it was on. Is Didier Deschamps still the French manager?
I just assume so.
I believe so. So it was under the current France manager. So, I don't think that you could. By the way, I love that. I was like, he is still managing him. I love that. That's how much attention I pay to international football outside of the major tournaments. I'm like, is he still manager? But no, he. I'm not going to pretend.
You find out how England have hired.
I'm not going to pretend to have seen loads. I mean, when he was at Wolfsburg and playing every week, I knew him as, a quite well-regarded player, but I wasn't seeing loads of him. But what Leeds needed was a holding mid, because we've lost our 2 defensive-minded central midfielders, and given the makeup of our squad, if they can play centre-back as well, that would be great. And that's exactly what we've signed. He's played at a high level. Every club that he's been at and played a fair bit seems to have a lot of good things to say about him. Like Wolfsburg replying to Leeds' announcement saying, "Take care of our legend," bodes well for how they think about him. And look, he's not going to be what he was. Like, he's not, 200 games in the Bundesliga and stuff. It's playing at a high level. But if he's 80% of that, and his main job for this season is to sit on the bench and just be an experienced head that can play if we need him to, and can fill in where required. Experienced player who's captained, like every club that he's been at and played a lot, he's been captain. He seems like the right sort of player for this sort of job.
If he can come off the bench in a few games and help us see a game out when you're under a bit of pressure. Grand. It's, but yeah, clearly, and this isn't a knock at all, but I don't think the faith was entirely there that if Tanaka or Rothwell got injured, that that everyone would be fine with Charlie Crew stepping in. I think it's very much a case of Charlie Crew is the next central midfielder. We could probably do with another one.
Yeah, we kept saying there was a couple of games where Leeds were really comfortable, and we were both thinking get Crew on for 10 minutes here, just to let him get that out of the way. And the fact that he didn't said a lot that maybe he just doesn't think he's ready yet. From what I've seen of Crew, I think he was ready to get 10 minutes here and stuff like that, but it don't matter. Gilvogi seems like a decent signing. I've titled this stream, and I may put it as the actual podcast title, Neutrals are way too confident in Leeds United getting promoted. I've seen just about half the league has played against Leeds. I've seen the others watching other games. I think Leeds are the best team in this league. Leeds are 1-6 to get promoted.
Oh, for God's sake. Did nobody learn? Does nobody ever learn?
If a bookie fancies putting out 4-1 the other side, I'll back that, thanks. Just as an insurance. I cannot believe how short we are. And you listen to the Not the Top 20 guys or just anyone talking about us, you would think we were 10 points clear. They're talking about us like Leicester, but when Leicester were miles in front.
Yeah. And again, it might well be Leeds' eyes. I don't think we've played. It might be this harsh saying this at this stage of the season. I don't think we've got up to anything like we were maybe around December, January last year.
Yeah, when we were really kicking.
And maybe that is just down to pacing yourselves a bit, as is quite clearly something Farker is keen to do in this level, which I sort of understand. But yeah, I don't think I've seen quite enough in us yet to say I make us heavy favourites.
Yeah, that's the bit that I don't get. I get us being favourites. I don't get us being this strong a favourite.
Although the other side of it is, you look at the teams we've come up against so far. We've played into the teams that would be teams that would be tipped for promotion. Burnley were fine, but ultimately they won based on a slip from Solomon. Sunderland, again, fine, but not outstanding. Luton are all over the place.
Yeah, somehow. Don't know how that happened.
Sheffield United didn't really look to be up to much.
West Brom were our equal, but we also didn't go for it in that game because we just conceded 6 goals in 2.
And then they've gone on a run where I think they've drawn all 3. I think it was a bit George Graham-esque, drawing several games in a row. It might have been just before the international break where they've drawn several games in a row.
Yeah.
And hadn't scored at home for a little while. So while you can look at certain performances from us and look at places where you think, we've dropped points there, or we've not done that well, none of the others are. There's not been a team fly out of the traps like Leicester did last year.
No, I mean, Sunderland have got to be fair. I mean, if you get 25 points from 11, that's a hell of a start. It's a really good start. It was but last year's was ridiculous. Leicester had 30 points or something, didn't they, from 11 games?
Yeah, it's a good start, but at the same time, I know it's kind of come down to us playing before them, but we've had those couple of games now where we've either jumped to level with them or ever so slightly brushed ahead of them. But it's a weird one so far. And to be fair, I think this is what people were predicting this season, that there wasn't a team in there like Leicester, who had a squad that was going to just turn up and decimate the league.
Yeah.
Or certainly as that Leicester team probably should have done for the entire season. But you're getting to the point of the season now where it'd be quite nice if we could put together a bit of a run, give yourself sort of a 3-4 point cushion over a few of the teams beneath you, and then kind of try and pull away a bit in maybe that top 4 group. That's sort of what I would like us to be doing at the moment, and I think if we keep doing what we're doing at the moment, we probably will.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's Leeds. It's never going to be plain sailing. But the next 4 games: Bristol City away, Plymouth at home, Millwall away, QPR at home. That takes us up to the next international break because there's a fucking another one. Like if you can really get on a run through those few games, it can really set you up well. And that starts with Bristol City away, which is tomorrow at 12:30. I do keep forgetting that's the early kickoff. I suppose the first sort of thing to talk about with Bristol City is Liam Manning, who's obviously the coach of Bristol City, the head coach, and he lost his kid at like 4 months old, like last week. There's been a real outpouring throughout football and stuff, which is it's nice the way everyone's come together about it. Like, I mean, I cannot imagine how awful it must have been for him. But he's come out today and said that the support they've received has been overwhelming, and he ended it by saying that he'll see you on Saturday. So I wasn't expecting him to be back for the game, but it sounds like he will be. So there'll be tributes and stuff, and I'm sure all the Leeds fans will have nothing but the utmost respect for that. It's a horrible thing for someone to go through.
Yeah.
And if I try and be football about it, if that happens before the game, it's a trivial thing compared to that, but we really have to be on it in that first 10 minutes because I bet Bristol City will be really on it the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. You imagine it's typically like a crowd is after, especially when you do like I don't know whether it be a minute's silence or a minute's applause or something like that before the game.
I believe I read a thing from, I think I've retweeted it actually on the podcast account. It's also their closest game to Armistice Day. So they're doing they do the minute silence and probably the last post and stuff. And then they'll have a cut off and then they'll do stuff for Theo Manning, which I assume will probably be like a minute's applause and some form of display and flowers and all of that stuff. Yeah.
And like you say, typically after something like that, that's when football fans sort of come to life a bit after, for the first 10 minutes there. So you'd expect them to be up for it. It's one of those looking at their form. What are they? Unbeaten in 5, but 4 draws. Something like that.
Is that what they are? I haven't really looked at their form. Yeah, well, unbeaten in, yes, their last 5 is 4 draws, but the one before that, so 6 games. Win, draw, win, draw.
So, yeah, it's a team we probably should be getting a result against. You'd like to think it's. I know it's away. I know it's a long distance. I know it's a long trek. I know it's an early kickoff, but it's a game. Go there, win 2-0, win 2-1, grand.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah,
I was having a look at their squad. There's nothing really to write home about. Naki Wells is always up for it against Leeds, and he's still going. They've got what I keep thinking of the Derby County pair in midfield, Jason Knight and Max Bird, because in my head that's who they still play for. They're all deep. It looks like they'll be 4-2-3-1. Unless I doubt that they'll switch, even though a lot of teams do switch to a 3 against us. They normally try and have the ball a lot, but when they played against Middlesbrough, who were really good in possession, they were willing to cede possession and try and play on the counter. So I assume that they will seek possession and try and play on the counter against us as well. I was looking through their squad, and the name that jumped out at me, and he's only played. Yeah, he's played most games. He hasn't started the last couple, but if he's fit, they've got that Sinclair Armstrong that was at QPR, and every time I've watched him play, he's really raw, and he might run with it and trip over the ball. But when he gets it right, he's so quick, he's so direct, and he's so strong, and he just beats players. And you know the way that Quadro Bar just ran past Stroud?
Yeah.
Sinclair Armstrong has that in him. He's barely scored any goals in his career, all things considered. But he's just one of them players that every time I watch him, I think he could be something. Can you remember when you saw really early Adama Traore?
Yeah.
There's a bit of that where you're just there's something there. And he would be, if he plays, especially if they do sit back and play on the counter a bit, I think he could cause us a few issues.
Yeah. I will say the name that I'm missing from that list, Andy Vyman. It's gone. No longer.
Yeah, he's at Blackburn, isn't he?
I know.
He scored an absolute screamer against Burnley, that's fine.
Yeah. I don't even know what to think about the Championship anymore now.
Yeah.
It's all,
it's
all moving on.
I'm just looking at their list of injuries as well. They've got a few out, same as us. Rob Dickey, who would probably be their starting centre-back. Cameron Pring, who, although I haven't seen him play all that much on the left side of left-back usually, he's meant to be pretty good, but he's going to be unavailable. Player for player, we should be fine. But I suppose the main things is what Leeds going to do team-wise. Junior Firpo is suspended for this one. Will it be Schmidt? Will it be Byram?
I think it's going to be Sam Byram.
Yeah, I do as well.
The man of many surprises.
I mean, I would probably rather it with Schmidt because I'd like to see us have someone a bit more forward thinking and someone who can hold the width a bit more on that side. But if he goes with Byram, that's fine. I think it'll probably mean that maybe we build up down the right a lot more instead of down the left, which we tend to favour.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it also makes sense from the standpoint of Solomon's not defensively the strongest, so having someone behind him who isn't going to get too high up the pitch at this point is probably not the worst shout.
Well, that brings question two, and you've already answered it. I would say, do you think it'll be Solomon or James?
I think it'll be Solomon. I think he'll sort of try to keep the structure as much as possible.
Right. I think, based on that last game, I think it'll be James and Nonto moves over to the left. But I'm not sure because Nonto and Bogle going forward seem to have quite a good understanding. So he might not want to break that up. And I suppose the last question is Joseph or Peru?
I will say I don't think Joel Peru had a good game by any stretch.
I would go as far as to say he had a pretty shit game.
But I will give him the benefit of the doubt of the previous 5-6 appearances before that, where I think he's done really well. So I think he probably stays up front.
I'm going to go Joseph. I think for this one, I think that he'll want the extra legs, especially with us losing Ramazani.
Yeah,
I think he might want that little bit of extra running up there. So we're probably saying Melier, Bogle, Roden, Strauch, Byram, Rothwell, and Tanaka. Who, by the way, we really should mention how good Tanaka has been in the last 2 games. He's been absolutely out. But him and Rothwell were both brilliant against Sheffield United, but against Watford, I thought Tanaka was best player on pitch by a distance. Nonto, Aronson, Solomon, and then a proper 50-50 on Joseph Peru. But yeah, Tanaka, I know that we all liked him when we first saw him and we saw the sub appearances. but he just seems to be getting better and better. And I mean, you know, Georgie's not there anymore. I need another player to fall head over heels in love with. And at the minute, the front runner is Outanaka.
He's very much the all-action midfielder, isn't he? It's just, like you say, defensively, he's tracking runs fantastically. He covers a lot of ground. I found both him and Rothwell to be quite progressive on the ball as well, which has been quite nice to see. It's very easy to see why you'd like someone like Tanaka.
Yeah, and Gilavogi is available, so I assume he comes onto the bench. But yeah, that is basically most of the podcast done. I haven't yet, because Connie hasn't got back from work yet, so I haven't got his prediction yet. I will stick it on Twitter. But Benny has Leeds winning 3-1. Alex has Leeds winning 2-0. What have you got, Casey?
I'm going to say 1-0 win.
1-0 win. I am going to go for... I'm going to go for Leeds to win 2-1. I could actually see us going behind in this game, but I think that we'll have enough to get back and win.
Yeah, fair.
Cool. Is there anything else that we need to go through before we're done?
No, I think we're good.
Cool, nice one. Well, it's nice to have that going, and hopefully the audio all downloads properly and this can get uploaded to the feed, but we'll find out soon. So yeah, that will do us for episode